Hi, I'm attorney Mark Rosenfeld, Mr. DUI LA, and I want to talk to you for a minute about some of my past experience with DUI cases. Another recent victory that I'd like to tell you about happened as a result of a settlement, again right before trial. This is Rick's case. Rick was driving down the street in Culver City and he was stopped because he was driving without headlights on. He was asked to get out of the car, and the Los Angeles Police Department began a DUI investigation. This was 2 LAPD officers that were part of a DUI task force, and they were on the lookout for anybody who may be impaired. They stopped Rick not too far from a local liquor store where they may have seen him coming out of. They began a DUI investigation and had Rick do some field sobriety tests, walk the line, touch his nose, and he did not do well on those tests according to the officer. They also asked him to do a preliminary breath test result, a PAS device, a PAS, preliminary alcohol screening device. And Rick agreed to do the preliminary alcohol screening device, and he came back with a result of a 0.18, which is well over twice the legal limit. At this point, Rick realized that things were not going well, and he had a disagreement with LAPD over what should happen next. At that point, he refused everything else. So they never took him back to the station for a breath test, and he never agreed to do a blood test or even a urine test. He was charged with a DUI in court. This was his second DUI. It was actually more than that, but within the last 10 years, this was a second DUI, and he was charged with driving under the influence and driving above the legal limit because of that 0.18 breath test result. We decided that we were not going to be settling the case. We did in the end, but we started out with the position that we were going to go through a jury trial. And we did everything we possibly could for Rick's case. We looked into the officer's training and experience. We looked into the chemical test result machine. We looked into the field sobriety test. We tracked down any video or audio recordings we could get our hands on. And another thing that we did that turned out to make a real big difference at the end of the day was we filed motions to get into the officer's personnel file. This is called a pitchus motion. We got into the officer's personnel file, the main investigating officer, and we found out that he had several complaints against him by different people. Once we found out that there were complaints, we were able to get some information on who these complaining witnesses were, and we furthered our investigation. However, these people did not want to talk to us because of whatever reason. We did further legal work, we brought more motions in court, and we were able to get the court to order the Los Angeles City Attorney to disclose to us the underlying complaints about what had happened in this case. We were able to find out that there were multiple complaints about this officer, and the complaints were alleging that the officer was racist. Now, this doesn't have a lot to do with the DUI case as far as chemical test result or field sobriety test, but we found out that there were multiple complaints of racism or dishonesty in this officer's background. When this information was shared with the city attorney right before trial, they realized that they may have some problems, but they still were prepared to go forward with the jury trial. We then explained to them that we had subpoenaed these complaining witnesses, and we had them waiting out in the hallway. Once the city attorney realized that we had multiple witnesses prepared to testify in court about this particular officer being racist, they decided that perhaps a settlement would be appropriate. And this second-time DUI within the last 10 years was reduced to a non-alcohol related offense. It was reduced to an exhibition of speed. And all Rick had to do was stay out of trouble and pay a little bit of fines. Another success without having to go through to a jury verdict. I'm DUI defense attorney Mark Rosenfeld. If you want to talk to me about your case, give me a call. You can reach me directly at 800-9700 DUI. That's 800-970-0384.